Seems like a long day, and I guess it was a long day. I had a hard time waking up again. Needed lots of coffee, you know. Coffee, 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 I don't know. But anyway, my brother David, who came up from Atlanta, was working on a couple little pieces of this car that my other brother's late wife left behind, and Scott's going to buy from them. In other words, it's a Dodge Stratus, so I'll call it the Stratus. So David was washing the outside of the Stratus, and then I vacuumed and cleaned the inside. We found all kinds of crap in there. The recyclable grocery bags, there must have been 30 of them. And they are launderable, so I washed them. And we wiped down the car. So she was a smoker, and it stinks in the car. So we're trying to get it smell decent. There's burn holes here and there. In the headliner of the car? Really? How do you do that? Anyway, it has a radio cassette player. And in the armrest is a place for some more cassettes. You know, extra ones. So there were some cassettes in there, and I looked, and she had like the Marshall Tucker Band and Leonard Skinner, which is kind of what Hoosier people listen to. Country people. Don't care for it, sorry. I mean, a lot of Freebird's okay. But they have Def Leppard? I don't know. But it was mostly Hoosier type stuff. Really dirty, really filthy. It's like, do you ever clean the car? Do you ever, ugh. My brother Richard is the same way. I could borrow the car once a week, and I clean it up, and the next week it's just as dirty. What do you do to it? I don't know. Anyway, it was like 1,000,000 degrees outside today. Yes, 1,000,000 degrees. If I went barefoot on the concrete, you could hear the soles of your feet sizzling like bacon on a pan. Really? Yeah, pretty hot. And I was about ready to, or as the blacks say, I was about ready to fall out. In other words, I was about ready to fall over, faint, pass out. And my brother Richard had to go back to his doctor at 5 or 5:30, something like that, to have some more blood drawn to see if he was maintaining his blood level or whatever. So David went with him, and I was helping Mom. She was making stuffed green peppers for supper. So I helped her with that. She needed some minute rice, so I went off to the store and bought some minute rice. And I learned how to use a pressure cooker for the first time. I'd never, of all the years I've seen her using that thing, but I've never used it. So I learned something today. Ooh. It's like a pot with a lid that locks on with a rubber seal gasket, and has a little hole in the top and a little pointy thing on the top where steam comes out. And on top of the pointy thing you put a little metal gadget that has different holes in it depending on how much pressure you want in the pot, 5, 10, or 15 pounds of pressure. And you turn the fire on under the pot when you have your food in there and the lid's locked on. And after the steam builds up to a certain point, that some escapes through this little valve at the top, and the little metal doohickey you put on top starts going, and it jiggles around and makes this noise. Which, when I was a kid, I always liked that. I thought that was so cool. And you have to let it jiggle for a certain length of time, and then you turn the pot off, and it finishes cooking, and it's done. Well, my brothers didn't come back, and they didn't come back, and they didn't come back. I called on their cell phone. It was 3 hours they waited before they could go in and see the doctor for just a couple minutes. Ridiculous. That's terrible. That's terrible. And they finally came back, and we ate. And then my brother David was showing my other brother, my mom, this tablet thing he has. It's, most kids and young folks know what that is. It's like an iPad type of thing. It's like a tablet, not as big as a laptop, but you can get internet on it and things. And he was showing some YouTube videos. And my mom and my brother Richard, they had like 1 second of interest, and then they started talking about their interests and like totally ignoring what David was trying to show them. This neat thing here, you know, like they kind of ignored him. David looks at me like, with this look like, what? And I look back at him with a look of, uh-huh. What? Uh-huh. Yes. And then the negativity started flying. Talking about how this person does something good, or this person does something good. I said, did you tell her, your friend, that Brian got a 4.0 and this? Oh, but her son does this, and my little Nathan. It's no relation to us at all. It's this other woman she knows grandchildren that my mother has adopted as her grandchildren. Her own grandchildren are not good enough. Her own children are not good enough. It's been that way my whole life. So it started getting negative and going down for hill from there, and I said, well, I gotta go home. Don't you clean someone's house tomorrow? Like, yes, I do. I said, look, the sooner I go, the sooner I get back tomorrow. And I have to go to bed now. Bye. And I walked home. That was my day in a nutshell. And when I say nut, I mean nut house. Yeah. Upward and onward.